And we came here today to remember.
6 young men and 69 others who will not be on the field with you today.
But they will be watching. But they'll be gritting their teeth with every snap of that football. You understand me? How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered. This is your opportunity to rise from these ashes and grab glory. We are.
We are joined on this episode with a very special guest. JD, will you tell the people who you are, what you do, and welcome to the Credits Pod.
Dude, this is an absolute pleasure. I've been like I'm not saying this because people say this in jest, like, oh, first time caller, long time listener. Like, I'm actually just a long time listener, and to be on the actual product that y'all have executed to excellence, borderline perfection, is an honor. So, but no, like you mentioned, I'm JD, and I have the burden to talk about college football for a living. So. It's a tough job.
Great burden.
Someone's got to do it. And, they always say that God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
It ain't much,
but it's honest work. It's honest work, man. That's the truth.
It's
so,
JD
but no.
PicKell. You guys know him as the voice of On3, the voice of college football, really. And if you watch on YouTube, especially the face of college football. Yeah. Listen, if you're a movie fan and you're like, I don't follow sports at all. If you're like me, then the only college football account that you need to follow on any social media is JD PicKell of On3 Sports. JD is where I get all of my sports knowledge because I don't keep up with anything else. JD's a longtime friend of the pod and one of my best friends in the entire world.
Man,
JD,
this is high praise. This is high praise. I appreciate it. But no, I'm juiced up to be on with y'all, man, and very excited to talk about a movie in the actual space of college football. So it's fun.
Yeah. Come on. So on that note, JD for a living is just, he's watching the games, breaking them down, talking them up. So in the spirit of this podcast, we want to talk about movie and TV athletes, specifically high school football / if they're in college in the movie, we're going to make them high school seniors. We want to do a scouting report on what we've got out there. So I think let's go by position, maybe.
I love it. I'm all in.
All right, Kyle, you kick us off. No pun intended. Oh, nice. Let's start at running back. You want to throw out some running backs?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm throwing out my Aggie. Well, I guess we're gonna get there on we know where he ended up.
He's not an Aggie yet.
Bryant Smash Williams from Friday Night Lights. The guy's got the feet. He's got the attitude. Did he go to A&M in the show? Yeah, it was kind of sad though because it was like he wanted to go to UT his whole career in the show, and then he gets hurt, and then he like walks on it, and it was like the next best thing.
Poor guy
Had to
But he
settle.
balls out though.
Yeah, he
gets
shows up.
excited, though.
Yeah,
So he is one that I actually am willing to say ends up at one of those Texas schools for a couple of reasons. One, it's got a Texan, right? Like he's loyal to the soil.
Yeah.
That's first off. Second, in the day and age that we're in modern college football, we all understand now there is a level of financial conversations we're having.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So he is probably demanding a pretty penny. And listen, if you want the smash, baby, you got to pay top dollar. So, both those universities are what we would call well resourced. Okay, they got a little something in the war chest. So I think it comes down to a bidding war for the sake of the personnel on this podcast. Let's say it comes down to signing day. You got two hats on the table. He grabs the old Texas A&M table, and we're taking our talents to College Station and a nice charge away.
JD, you got any running backs you want to throw out there?
Fictional running backs, none that come to mind right away. I don't know if we classify him as a running back or if we classify him as an athlete. I know he did already make his college decision, so I think maybe the spot he ends up at fits. But I mean, Forrest Gump. I mean, what is that? I mean, just get him the ball. He's one of those guys. You give him the ball in space and let him be special.
He's a once in a generation talent.
And so well rounded. I mean, he's a businessman. He's an endurance athlete. He's a fisherman.
Talk about a guy who's overcome. I mean, the doctors told him he would never run in his life.
Yeah. And look at him now. And what he said, I can't hear you.
I will say, I have heard he does have a problem. He stops when he gets, in his words, pretty tired. And then he just wants to go home.
Yeah. That's one of those things where coaching staff is going to be vital for this guy. We got to make sure he's around the right things, trading the right habits, because like you mentioned, he has the potential to lead too much into his emotions. That's the thing with college kids, right? They can be overly emotional, but I think getting out there at Alabama, allowed to be around some friends and some family, it's Lieutenant Dan, rest in peace, is able to visit every now and then. We could be
Guys, this is really fun for me because I think this is the most knowledge I've ever had about a sports conversation. I'm like, I know who they're talking about.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
All right, we got to talk about the rig. Tim Riggins, former fullback for the Panthers out there in Dillon. He's a winner. He's got grit. You wonder what's if all the screws are tightened up there. But JD, what are your thoughts on Tim Riggins?
So I will say this: when you look at the recruitment of a Tim Riggins, it's hard to look anywhere outside the state of Texas because he's made it known in every interview, every conversation. He says, "Hey, Texas forever." And so you're like, Bama, Oregon, every other school, you can just go ahead and mail it in. I wouldn't even bother recruiting old Tim Riggins because he's not leaving the great state of Texas. So to me, Tim Riggins, you could see him fitting in at a UT, see him fitting in at a A&M. How about Tim Riggins stays true to his rural Texas roots? Says, you know what? Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders out there in London, they got something cooking.
Yeah.
I like him to end up out there at Texas Tech and carve out a nice little role for himself. Now, is the offense, is the defense? We'll see. But I think that environment would suit Tim Riggins and really allow him to flourish.
Are we at all concerned about the extracurriculars that might be going on at a Texas Tech for Tim Riggins?
That is one of the reasons I wasn't sure if I could see Tim Riggins in 6th Street with being attractive and a very difficult stumbling block for all 33. So could he play at Texas? Guy's got talent poured out of his ears. Do we want him on 6th Street? Do we want him that close to what 6th Street has to offer when we're trying to put a winning game plan together? I don't know. So Lubbock, maybe it's like a distilled version of that. Now, perfect world, you get in his ear and you say, hey, Tim, Waco's great, man. Waco's a great place.
Tim becomes a Baptist. Oh, no. And Taylor Kitsch played, what's the Colt guy, David Crash, in the show Waco.
Wow. I forgot about it.
That's Waco. That's the sequel. That's the sequel to Friday Night Lights. Okay, we gotta move here. So what do we say? We want to go to the other side of the ball, just talk defense in general. Okay, so I don't think we can talk linebacker position without talking about one of the greatest in the South, Bobby Boucher. Bobby Boucher from the Waterboy.
I mean, you guys are headhunter, right? I mean, we've seen it. When you turn on the tape, Bobby Boucher playing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And the thing that I love, he's got what we call contact courage. Like he's not afraid to lead with the helmet. Now, I will say, as the game's evolved, targeting penalties with leading with the crown of the helmet has become kind of an issue. Could see that being a thing for him, but we know this guy's a Louisiana native. I think LSU with him are just a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And I think Bobby Boucher's a tiger.
All right. Who do you like? I mean, we got to talk about left side, strong side. Our Titans, Gary Bertier and Julius. What's Julius's last name?
Julius Campbell.
Campbell. Yeah. They're a duo for sure, but when you split them up, what happens? I'm curious your thoughts, JD.
I think it's one of those recruitments where you see it very, very rarely, but I think they probably have a sit down with every staff that recruits them and say, hey, listen, you're not going to be without Julius.
Yeah.
You're not going to be without Gary. So that's one of those that I'd be curious to see who would throw their hat in the ring. If we had to pick a school, I think that you look at a place like, probably say an SEC country, but we've got a lot of SEC. Let's go ACC. Let's go with Clemson and Dabo. Dabo's family guy, family environment. Gary Bertier and Lewis Campbell, kind of like brothers. I think that they take their talents to Death Valley, and they just tear up the ACC for.
Wow. Final linebacker I'll throw at you, Terry Tate, the Office linebacker. Do you know who Terry Tate is, JD?
Oh, I mean, I don't know how anybody doesn't know Terry. I mean, the guy. Here's the deal with him. Character issues, right? That's kind of the thing you have to talk about with Terry. He doesn't have an off switch, which you love with your linebackers. I want my linebacker to be a little bit. A bit of a screw loose.
A little nuts.
I want him a little nuts. I want him a little crazy. And I think that the Miami Hurricanes, with their track record also of linebackers, you got guys like Ray Lewis, who is kind of like a real life Terry Tate. Yeah, I think Miami would be crazy enough as an environment, kind of a big enough city to whet his appetite. I like Terry Tate going to the U. I think that's a good fit.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
All right, let's talk about quarterbacks before we close this thing down. JD, let's throw to you. Who in your mind is going at the top of the list?
You know, for me, I want my quarterback to have the it factor, right? Everyone at this level, we all know everyone can throw the ball. Everyone's accurate. Everyone can read a defense. I want my quarterback to be a little bit of a psychopath. That's what we talk about in our show. I want my quarterback to tell the tackle, hey, let him through. That's what I want him to do. I want him to say, hey, let him through. And so for that reason, I'm taking Ronnie Bass. If I am at PicKell School University, Ronnie Bass is my first quarterback I'm taking. And I feel great about it. I feel great about it.
JD, if the folks at home don't know who Ronnie Bass is, can you tell them?
Oh, he is Sunshine for Remember the Titans. And I mean, a part of, it's funny because his role in that movie is actually, like, from a speaking perspective, not a tremendous volume of lines. But like all the iconic moments, you can point back to Ronnie Bass and say, oh yeah, Sunshine.
Okay, JD, I'm going to throw a wild card at you here. It's a guy who we haven't seen his game footage a whole lot of, but there's a lot of buzz. He's rumored to have a great arm, and it's Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. The legend of Uncle Rico grows. I mean, I think he might be one of the greatest what ifs in college football history. You know, it's like, hey, what if he had gotten in the state title game?
Yeah, he was held back for sure. So we didn't get to see what he could really do.
He was held back. I would say if Uncle Rico is tapping into the eligibility, he's probably a little bit further along. That reminds me of two quarterbacks. Stetson Bennett, when he was at Georgia, played for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you also had a character by the name of Braden Whedon, which is a deep cut.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
From Oklahoma State. He played when he was like, legitimately, guys like 28 years old, played pro baseball, decides, you know what, let me go throw the pigskin around a little bit. So I think it probably comes down to Georgia, Oklahoma State. You can see OK State being the pick for Uncle Rico because that just kind of seemed like his vibe. But I mean,
Stillwater.
I mean, talented play.
I want to talk about somebody who's a little creative. They've called him the Bob Dylan of the position. Let's talk about Matt Saracen. He's not the Beatles. He's not Elvis. He's not everybody's cup of tea. But hey, he listens to Bob Dylan. He likes to paint. Tell me about Matt Saracen.
Matt Saracen, man. Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. I mean, he is, I mean, an enigma, so to speak. When you talk about the quarterback position, he's throwing Hail Marys. He's getting benched. You know, I mean, I wouldn't recommend any coach's doctrine. I don't think it's a great idea. But Matt Saracen is just, you know,
he's that guy.
He's coddled a little bit of the. I mean, talk about it factor. He's got it too. You know, I will say for everything Matt Saracen has as a football player, not a great thrower of the football. I want Matt Saracen to be in an offensive system that is catering to his athleticism. So for that reason, I like Matt Saracen to end up at an academy. Listen, we know he's not going to probably play professionally. He gets that. We get that. This is all about having the best 4 years of his life and serving his country afterwards.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
At Navy, to be a midshipman, they go win multiple commander-in-chief trophies, and you retire Matt Saracen's jersey.
Oh, wow.
My final one I want to throw is a deep cut that many have forgotten about this player, but not us. Throwback to early in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's career.
Oh, we know
from the game plan when he learned how to become a father.
The king.
It's Joe Kingman.
Number one on the field, number one in your heart, baby.
Is he number one in your heart, JD?
I mean, I'll tell you what, he's number one on the field. There's no way around it. I mean, golly. He's another guy, too, where you look at, like, you know, when in these situations, you try to look at the whole recruitment, right? And I think for any other guy, it's going to command a pretty heavy NIL package. Like Joe Kingman, if you're not talking 7 figures, he don't want to talk to you.
Yeah,
You know, he's
that's
like
exactly right.
putting the phone down. So I look at, okay, who's well resourced? In my estimation, I don't know this to be true without a shadow of a doubt. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I like the Nike money at Oregon. I think there's flash there. I think the system fits. I like our guy, Joe Kingman, to take his talents to the best coast, out there to Eugene. And I think he tears it up for 3 years and he's gone to the league after making a lot of NIL money.
My final question is with the QBs that we've named. So we have Uncle Rico, we have Joe Kingman, we have Matt Saracen, and we named one
JD. Who'd you say?
Ronnie Bass.
Oh, yes, Ronnie Bass. That's right. So out of those four, let's say they all go to those respective schools that you named. Let's say they're all starters.
Let's talk about the Heisman race.
Who's getting the Heisman out of that four?
That, I think, is the ultimate question, right? I think we all felt it when we got on this podcast. That was kind of the elephant in the room. It's unfortunate, but I think Matt Saracen, given the fact that he's in an academy, not going to get a ton of national spotlight, so he's probably out of the race, unfortunately. Ronnie Bass, I told you, Ronnie Bass is my first quarterback off the board. Like, I'm taking Ronnie Bass, #1 overall. Love Ronnie Bass. However, we mentioned the speaking parts. When the Heisman, I need some metaphorical speaking parts in the field here, Ronnie. I need you to have some giddy up big ups. Uncle Rico, we can already kind of write off, unfortunately. I'm going to go with Kingman. I think he is a pass over his
That's
time.
exactly right.
Playing for a big school like Oregon to brand in itself, I think he's going to have the stages he needs.
JD, I'm going to be honest. Thinking through and like approaching this segment, I was like, I don't want JD to feel like he's just like, the dancing monkey, just like, we're just going to force you to do all this.
This is a blast.
I am blown away by what just happened on the credits podcast. That was incredible.
I appreciate it, man. That was legitimately like a hilarious, creative, fun segment. So I appreciate
that's all Kyle.
Y'all cooking it up.
Come on. Okay, here we go. We are going to dive into the movie We Are Marshall. We've talked about it almost none so far in this podcast, but that's okay. None of the Marshall Thundering Herd made our big board there. So I'm going to give us a recap and set up where we're going for the rest of this. So when the Marshall University football team plane crashes and kills nearly the entire team of players, coaches, staff, and donors, the community of Huntington, West Virginia is left devastated. New coach, Jack Lingle, is that the correct pronunciation? Lingle? However it is.
Right.
Steps in to rebuild the team from scratch, facing challenges with recruiting and opposition from those who fear the game's return would only deepen the town's grief. Against the odds, they must press on towards resilience and grit. So that's what we're talking about. Talking about resilience. More football-y word for it is grit. So really what we're talking about is whenever hard times hit, whenever hardship comes, how do we respond?
For those of you who may not know, this is the final resting place for 6 members of the 1970 Thundering Herd. The plane crash that took their lives was so severe, so absolute, that their bodies were unable to be identified. So they were buried here, together. 6 players, 6 teammates, 6 sons of Marshall. This is our past, gentlemen.
Listener, if you haven't listened to last week's episode on pain, when we talked about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, this is actually a great follow-up. What we're talking about here of just what to do whenever hardship does hit. So at the start of the movie, plane crashes and there's this pretty long montage of just like grief happening all around. Jesus in John 16 says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I've overcome the world." There's a guarantee that like there will be hard times, there will be trouble. That's specifically for believers following Jesus, but it's also true just in general, right? Ecclesiastes 3 talks about how there's a time for everything under the sun, time to dance and a time to mourn, right? But at that point is where all the characters are faced with this decision of how do I respond then?
Nate, I'm not questioning your courage or your drive, okay?
My shoulder's fine.
This shoulder. It's ready to take the field? Mm-hmm. It's ready for hits.
My shoulder's fine.
Yes or no?
My shoulder's fine.
This one?
Yeah.
That one? Take hits like that?
My shoulder's fine.
It'll be a lot hotter than that, Nate.
My shoulder's fine.
Talk to me.
Oh, Coach. That was my team. They left it in my hands.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. It seems like a level too of like almost shame that is like packaged with that grief for a lot of these like survivors, for lack of a better term. Assistant coach is talking about, hey, I don't know if I can take the field again.
Yeah.
Ruffin is like, that was my team. Why, they left it in my hands. And there's like almost this weight of carrying the past. And so I think like being able to move through that grief as well as like come to terms with not having to carry that shame.
I think about 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more about my weakness so that Christ's power may rest in me. For us, outside of the movie, what do we do whenever we're hit with hardship? We lean on the Lord. We cast our burdens on him. Why? Because his power is made perfect in our weakness. Like we are able to be more powerful in our weakness, not when we grit our teeth and push through, but whenever we rely on the Lord in those situations. And I think about Ruffin, right? I think about he's a character who he does have to kind of push through. He experiences the hardship that everybody else does, but he's the one remaining member of the former team that's willing to push on, right?
We don't even know the other guys' names.
But it's like he's the one who kind of sparks the rest of it. Because if he doesn't push through and push past the hardship, they shut down the team. Nothing else continues. But because he pushes through, he allows the president, he basically forces the president to keep the program. That allows Matthew McConaughey to step in. And then he's able to lift everybody up from there.
Which is what I feel like a lot of movies emphasize is like, oh, you can just do it. Just dig down hard enough. But
if you just believe.
But this movie has a cool way of showing that each person going through their difficulty and their pain, they look outside of themselves to be strengthened by others. And that's how they push through.
And the beautiful part about that story with Ruffin too is at the end of the movie as well, where he's dinged up and he's almost at that place that we talked about where like, he's like, you have to grit your teeth. You have to push through. It is on me. And Coach Jack is knocking his shoulder and he goes, my shoulder's fine. My shoulder's fine. And so he kind of like breaks down and just like, I can't do this myself. I can't rely on myself. And it's that beautiful moment where he has to now rely on his teammates, on coach, on everyone else around him. To lift him up and kind of, boost them through in that final game. So,
When I heard about what had happened, your situation, the only thing I could think about was the four of them. Thought about how much they mean to me, and about how bad it would hurt if I was to lose them. Then I thought about a team and a school and a town. It's got to be hurting real bad.
Jack steps in. I think about Ecclesiastes 4. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other fellow. But woe to him who would fall down and is alone, and there's not another to lift him up. And so I think about Matthew McConaughey's character as that second man, right? To help pick them up whenever they fall down. It's like, it feels like Mr. Griffin, Ian McShane, just wants to continue to lay down and not be picked up because what if he fell down again, right? The player who was Nate's roommate, the guy who overslept, Tom, good knowledge. Tom is, he's overcome with this burden, right? Like, because he doesn't allow himself to be picked up, he misses out. It's like there is a world where this whole thing doesn't happen because everybody is just overcome with this grief. There's like a fragility that they feel of like, we can't and we shouldn't push forward because it's only going to cause more harm. Like in the beginning, Ian McShane says, it won't be a game anymore. It'll be a weekly reminder of what we've lost, right? And so they try to protect themselves. And ultimately, Tom misses out completely. Like the joy that is shown at the end with everybody in the locker room celebrating the first home win, he's not in there because he wouldn't allow himself to be moved forward. And it's understandable. That's a terrible thing to have gone through. But he still had a say in what happens next.
Yeah, and I think in real life, he doesn't need to play. Everybody processes grief differently, and it's totally healthy for him to not want to play football anymore. But in terms of our conversation of this idea of pushing through hardship with the movie's ultimate goal being the team, what you're saying, Kyle, of like he misses out on the goal because he lets the hardship take him out and he never pushes through it.
It's interesting. There's almost like two parallel storylines between Tom and the assistant coach, Red. Red could have easily had the same fate and been like, nope, said I wasn't going to do it. I'm not doing it. I'm out. How can I live with this burden? I told 20 different parents that I would take care of their son, and here we are. And now, like, how can I live with myself? Matthew McConaughey just says, I don't know. But then he points to the train tracks and goes, isn't that the train that went off the tracks in the Ohio Valley last Christmas? He goes, back on track. It's so simple and so Matthew McConaughey, but it's just like, gosh, let's freaking go. Like, you just gotta, like, just say yes. Like, half of this whole deal is just showing up. Like, more than half is just showing up. And so I just thought that was, like, just so powerful.
I think about 2 Corinthians 4. It says, we are afflicted in every way, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not driven to despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. This verse is saying really, really hard, and like even like stronger than just saying really hard. Like really awful things are going to happen, but it's like we're not broken,
You didn't know Rick Tully. I did. And on the day that he died, he said, the only thing that they judge us on, the only thing that counts is winning. Nothing else matters. So what do? How are we honoring their memory? We put together a team that doesn't win. Can't win. Not this week, not this season. Hell, maybe not ever. We're not honoring them, Jack. We're disgracing them.
Coach Red Dawson, whenever he has that moment where he storms out of practice, right?
Yeah.
He's saying to Matthew McConaughey, Coach told us that winning is everything. And this isn't a team that's going to win this week, next week, and maybe not ever. Like, we're not honoring them. We're disgracing them.
Yeah.
Right. And so in his mind, because we're not where we want to be, because we're not at that finished product yet, then there's not even any point in continuing with this.
Right.
Right. That mentality is the flip side of that is shown by Coach Jack. Whenever they're having their next conversation, he says, it's true that all that matters is winning in this game, but not here, not now. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. It doesn't even matter how we play the game.
Yeah.
All that matters is that we play the game. Essentially, if we take one step in front of the other, keep moving forward, and he says, someday, maybe we will get to a place where winning is everything. And ultimately, we see that happen, right? In the ending montage, as Kate Mara is talking about their first winning season in 1980, they followed that with 8 conference titles, however many bowl wins in a row, and 2 national championships, right?
Yeah.
Winning is everything and nothing else matters. I mean, I've said that so many times myself, I lost count. And it doesn't matter in what sport, and it doesn't matter what country. Any coach who's worth a darn in this business believes those words. Fact. And then I came here, And for the first time in my life, hell, maybe for the first time in the history of sport, suddenly it's just not true anymore. At least not here, not now, no. You see, Red, it doesn't matter if we win or if we lose. It's not even about how we play the game. What matters is that we play the game. That we take the field, that we suit up on Saturdays and we keep this program alive. We play the game. Red, and I'm telling you, one day, not today, not tomorrow, not this season probably, not next season either, but one day you and I are going to wake up. And suddenly we're going to be like every other team in every other sport where winning is everything and nothing else matters.
Yeah, he's focused not on getting to a winning season and winning a title or something like that. He's focused on the growth and development of the team and ultimately the town, and how giving up is not going to solve anything for these people. It's the strength to push through that is going to help them heal and develop. I think of Romans 5:3-5. It says, "And not only so, but we glory in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who's been given to us."
It's a powerful gospel message in the sense that he talks about kind of what you were mentioning, Kyle, where at the beginning the coach says winning is everything. That is the only thing that matters. That is the only metric. Obviously, Red talks about that as well. Or there, as he's walking off the field, he's like essentially saying what we all were saying, where, you know, we're disgracing them. Essentially, why even try? And I feel like so often in the Christian walk, that is, I think, one of the like number one tactics of the enemy is you're so far off, you're never going to get there. It's not going to happen. So for that reason, you should not even field a team.
Yeah, it makes me think about the quote by Richard Foster. He says the goal is long obedience in the same direction, right? So it's not a matter of we have this big goal and we get there quickly. It's like slowly we're moving in a direction. We're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah.
But like Coach Jack talks about it, what matters today is doing the little stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's going to get us there.
It's the continual, I'm just going to do what is right today. And we see that the Lord is faithful. And I think the ultimate takeaway from this movie, and if someone's thinking about hardship in their own life, it's the encouragement that we don't do it alone.
Yeah, I'll throw out there 1 Peter 5:10 says, "After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." If there's a takeaway from this conversation, I think it's like our suffering isn't going to just like go away in an instant. There are things that take time. If we continue to move in the same direction toward healing and towards dependence on God, we don't have to have it all figured out right away. We can continue to move in that direction. What matters is that we are moving in that direction, right? And that's not a statement of move in the direction of God so that we'll be saved. Like we're saved because we believe in the gospel, because we trust in Jesus and his work on the cross. Healing can be a slow process, right?
Yeah.
And so as we move and push towards the Lord, that can happen slowly.
Our encouragement is that we don't process through grief and pain and hardship alone. But like we've mentioned from Romans or 2 Corinthians, is that the Lord is the one who's giving us strength. He's the one who's with us.
Yeah, it's great. JD, final thoughts? We are Marshall.
To me, is that exact same scene. And the speech itself is awesome. There's a couple of moments where you're like, I maybe would leave out we might be behind on the scoreboard at the end. I might edit that out in my motivational speech to the guys. I appreciate the sentiment, may not be what I lead with. However, it keeps going back to this theme of, yeah, this happened. This is tragic. This is awful. However, at some point in time, we do have to realize like this isn't defining of us. This isn't something we have to keep carrying. And the line of the movie that just like every single time just like strikes like lightning in my soul is the funerals end today.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I think that is what Jesus ultimately is like calling us to. I don't want you to live in your sin. I don't want you to live in your shame. I don't want you to live with this burden. But that to me was just like to be a part of that team and to carry that weight, whether you were on the previous team or taking someone's jersey that passed away on that flight, like there's no way it doesn't stick with you. And so to turn the page and say, hey, this is the line of demarcation. We're honoring them. They're with us, but we are no longer like having this funeral. We're about to go it after. I loved every part about that.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered. This is your opportunity to rise from these ashes and grab glory. We are. Marshall! We are. Marshall! We are. Marshall! The funeral's in today.
Yeah, that did fire me up.
Yeah.
I thought Matthew McConaughey was great. The story is awesome. I was super bummed out by the ending monologue.
I'm so glad you said this. I was going to say this if you didn't.
They never went on to win another game that season. Yeah. And then it's like, Coach Red actually did quit. Our conversation has helped me be encouraged by that. The main point of that ending being the Marshall team did rebuild after years and went on to win 8 titles. That's the long game. But in the short term, nobody in this movie really had the type of ending that you would want.
Yeah. Shout out Coach Jack Parlay. Now, obviously, circumstances are what they are. Not a lot of games won. It is what it is. But to parlay that into an athletic director job with Matt Saracen's
Navy, the midshipman.
Hat tip to Coach Jack. He can sell ice to an Eskimo. I mean, he knows what he's doing. Okay, like guy can pitch himself.
Matthew was perfect for this role. JD, thank you so much for doing this.
Amazing job.
Thank you for taking the time to do this and watch this movie with us and spend, honestly, a good amount of time of your night talking about this.
You blessed us. This is also probably the longest record we've ever done.
No, we've
tied it
sure
maybe before. Yeah, it's close. JD, thank you for, this is amazing.
Thank y'all. Y'all keep crushing it and being a light in this space. And I'm excited to watch y'all just continue to ascend. This is awesome.
Come on.
Follow JD PicKell on Instagram, On3 on YouTube, and we are Marshall.
Don't forget it.
Roll credits.
Don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and on Instagram at The Credits Podcast. If you know someone who would love this episode, go ahead and shoot it to them in a text. If it doesn't brighten their day, it'll certainly brighten ours.
And don't miss next week's episode chosen for us by our giveaway winner, as we will discuss Remember the Titans